Coming up on the Making Waves VO podcast.
Meta, our good friends over at Meta and Zuckerberg made a choice that they were no longer going to do anything having to do with diversity and inclusion. He made a big statement about it.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves. Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
Making waves.
This is the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell.
It is indeed the Making Waves VO podcast presented by our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
Bobby, it's the most wonderful time of the year, is it not? How's your December been?
December's crazy this year. I look back on the past couple of years and it was like, but it's just, I don't know what's going on, but it's really busy and I'm loving it. I hope it continues into January. How are you doing?
Yeah, same thing. It's been a little bit crazier, busy December than I expected. You know, sometimes December, January, I'm kind of looking forward in a way to a little bit of a slowdown. But December has been gangbusters in different areas of my work. But you know what? I'll take whatever the universe brings me and, try to give it back as best I can. And speaking of giving it back, we have two wonderful guests that are joining us on the Making Waves VO podcast. We are proud and honored to have with us from the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences, Joan Baker and Rudy Gaskins. Welcome.
Hello, good people.
We're not worthy. I'm so glad you could come on.
It's so good to see
y'all. I love the
y'all.
sound of Society of Voice Arts and Sciences coming out of your mouth, Kevin.
Oh, thank you very much.
Oh my God,
Yes.
It's like melt.
I love it. Thank you so much for joining us. And this is the first time we've had y'all on the podcast.
I know.
And we've got so many questions. My first question, and this might be the most important question that we have throughout the podcast.
Really?
Is it SOVAS or
I might not be able
SOVAS?
to answer it then. Sorry.
Is it SOVAS or SOVAS? What do y'all prefer?
SOVAS. It's SOVAS. Yeah, it's SOVAS.
All right, let's just clear the record for that. Okay, SOVAS. We're gonna go that route. So, what was Joan? We'll start with you. What was the impetus of starting the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences? Was there a gap in the industry? What was going on for y'all to fill that need?
Well, you know what? I think it started personal. So I met Rudy as a director, producer, and writer at ABC News, voice actor. He didn't know anything about voice actors, of course. He just got his promotion job there. And so when we got together and he was observing how I was pursuing it like crazy, right? No stone unturned. And he'd see the losses, he'd see the gains, but, he saw the picture of it. And because I was all out, he really was able, I feel like Rudy is basically a genius-minded person. And also very sensitive. Yeah, very sensitive.
It's Christmas, Rudy. She wants a gift.
Here we go.
And I'm missing a ring. Okay. But I felt like his observations were very deep and very helpful. And so one of the things I would talk to him about was the morale at the time in voice acting, and it seemed to be very low. And that is because other people in the industry would be acknowledged. Other people in the industry would be getting, good money on a regular basis. And so in our conversations, we felt like there was a need to uplift the morale in voice acting, and people who he worked with at ABC News, at Core TV, at Food Network, and he got to know voice actors in an intimate way. So it became kind of organically a mission to not just point at people and say you're great, but I'm saying it became a real mission to embrace the voice acting industry, which would seem to be the lowest on the totem pole in terms of all the different aspects to the industry, not getting acknowledged. Kind of getting ripped off here and there in terms of pay, dealing with agents and dealing with scammers and dealing with all kinds of aspects. At the time, there wasn't AI. So Rudy and I, and through my career, organically came up with a platform. And it started with That's Voiceover. And then in 2014, we became a nonprofit, and we included the umbrella of the Voice Arts Awards. But That's Voiceover had been established. Our first one was in 2009. So we've been doing That's Voiceover for 16 years.
Oh, wow. And you used to jump back and forth, didn't you, between LA and New York?
And Chicago.
Right.
And Chicago, okay.
Yeah. So I'm saying, to answer your question, Kevin, that it came more from a personal observation through the lens of the voice acting industry.
And thank you for doing that, because we get in this business, right, to make some cash, but we also love the accolades. We like the attention. That's why we do this. And so thank you for creating a platform where we can get some recognition and be celebrated and get in our fancy duds and come enjoy each other and hang out and all that stuff. So thank you for doing that.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
When Secrets of Voiceover Success came out, which is a book that I created, I actually created it from a project. It was a project that I was doing at a class, and it came out of that project. But that's when it really started in terms of digging in, diving in, understanding voice actors other than my immediate circle and the industry at large. You have to do so much research when you do a book. You talk to so many people, and I knew nothing about publishing a book. So I really learned from scratch. But what I did know was hustle. I knew hustle.
A lot of voice actors know hustle. I think what's interesting about that book is that it was the first time, 22 different voice actors who were all pretty much at the top of their game. The journeymen, not the celebrity voice actors, the people who really do the nitty gritty stuff. It was the first time all those people had a voice in one book. And typically a book was done by one person talking about their point of view on voice acting. And here you got to hear 22 different people with completely different backgrounds and how they found their way into the world of voice acting. In a lot of ways, it was through meeting those people and seeing just how much they had given of their lives to being voice actors. And it was all they did. They had no other way of making money. This was it for them. They made that choice. And realizing someone should be celebrating them. We're bringing these people in, they're giving of themselves to explain to folks how to break in and what trials and tribulations they faced. But no one was saying to them, good job, way to go. And we thought, they deserve an award that's on par with the Golden Globes and the Oscars. And how do we set about creating something at that level?
Especially because this little 4x4 booth is lonely at times.
Yes.
And
that's right.
Where the conference part came, because we realized that, Rudy and I had meetings with a couple of other voice actors discussing creating a conference. And this was a long time ago. And actually, it was going to start in Vegas called Voices Over Vegas. It was going to be but this was a long time ago. But one of the things we discussed was how people were in their booths. They did not get a chance to communicate. People in booths also admire people in other booths, and they want to meet them, right? And see how other people work. That is extremely important if you're in your head all the time, right? And you're isolated. You really need to see how other people are doing it, what other people are saying about it. And that's kind of how the conference got created.
We love what you're doing with the conference and the awards. Tell us about your nonprofit and how it's benefiting the voice acting community.
Well, I think the primary benefit of the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences is its mission. It's not as though it's, you come up with a mission and it becomes some sort of all-encompassing way into the business and success. It's become something that you start to chip away at in terms of really finding the sculpture underneath it. And where are the opportunities to connect with people? What are those needs? And so it's evolving all the time. And I think first and foremost, the benefit is that somebody's sitting down and just thinking about that solely. How do you connect with voice actors in better and better ways? And how do you provide them with opportunities? Because voice actors want jobs, and whatever you create, in our minds anyway, it needed to answer that question. Does this lead to work? Does this advance the person's empowerment to find work, to find agency? and to develop their skills. And so that's Voiceover was all about that. And the Voice Arts Awards, of course, was to acknowledge the accomplishments that come from that.
Don't go anywhere. The Making Waves VO podcast returns in a moment.
What's up? What's up? What's up? This your boy Trey Mosley. And this is the Making Waves VO podcast with Double K, Kevin Kilpatrick, and my girl, Bobby Maxwell. Give a listen, y'all.
Oh, Bobby, it is indeed the most wonderful time of the year. And we voice actors at this time of year, we love getting holiday gifts, don't we?
Of course. I mean, if I saw a long rectangular package under the tree and I knew it was going to be a microphone, I would be right on that. Or anything, stocking stuff or anything. Yeah, we love it. And now's the time to get it at fullcompass.com. They have major savings, like up to 75% off, Kevin.
Up to 75% off?
Yeah.
And Bobby, they also have a low price guarantee.
They do. They're going to guarantee to match pricing on the products that they sell. If you see it elsewhere and go to them, they're going to give you a better price. They'll honor that, the lowest price for 30 days after you make a purchase. Who does that? Full Compass does that.
That's awesome. And you get exceptional customer service. If you need some advice on the gear you're buying, that's what you do. You call them, and they are amazing. And that's what makes them so great. They're a family-owned company since 1977. And at Full Compass, they're having their big holiday sale going on right now where you can get up to 75% off on various items like microphones, interfaces, speakers, cables, headphones, all the beautiful things that we love.
And they have free shipping on orders over $49 too.
Go check them out online. They're our good friends at Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
75% off. 75% off. Good through the 26th of December. Go now.
I'm there. Now back to the podcast.
Talking about the Voice Arts Awards, and there's so many people that will poo-poo the awards, right? They're not needed. They're not necessary. You know, Joan, how would you reply to that?
I think that's a great question. So I want to say something before I answer that question, and that is that the Emmys work with us, and they helped us establish the Voice Arts Awards, right? So that it could be something special, something extraordinary. Every aspect of it, Rudy and I wanted to create something lasting, wanted to create legacy for voice actors. So I say that the awards actually encompass many things. And one of them is establishing legacy. Another thing is, I cannot even tell you at every award show how people come together and how they bond and how they have lifetime bonds. And also people feel empowered by other people and bonding around their work. I mean, what better kernel could there be but bonding around the work and the craft, right? Mm-hmm. And to also enhance that, I have people that write me and they'll say to me, because of the Voice Arts Awards, I focus on my craft in a very different way. I mean, is that not a win?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to establish that kind of empowerment within yourself, that's gold. So I say to me, that is the most important reason that I feel like awards can do, is to reshape how you think about yourself, to reshape how you think about the craft and how you step into it or dive into it in a way that you hadn't even thought of before. When you get to see yourself in a different way, I don't know many things in life that do that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's joyful.
Yes. I remember the red carpet the first time I went to one of the awards. It was like, they have a red carpet here. Do you know how that makes somebody feel?
It does.
Amazing. And I'll contribute.
People who poo-poo the awards, I want to make a comment about those folks, because I think it's a very small group for one.
But they're vocal, Rudy. They are vocal.
Yeah, they're vocal. Yeah. And the truth of the matter is, we probably receive 50 extraordinarily positive comments, letters in the mail about the joys people receive from what we do. versus the one hurtful note that we might experience from somebody who's disgruntled for whatever reason about the existence of awards. And so I always tell myself, because it does bug me when I see those kinds of things, it does bug me.
Because it's your baby.
And I wish their noses were really close by in those moments. But I decided I'm not going to dishonor all the beautiful letters and commentary that we get from those people who are behind it.
And globally.
To let myself sink into the abyss of the negative force.
To echo what y'all are talking about, and Joan, you mentioned, the community, right? The community aspect of what we're doing. There's also, for me, when people ask me about it, there's a halo effect because you get the opportunity to go, hey, if you're trying to get it with an agent, hey, P.S., I just won a SOVAS award. Hey, I just did. Or maybe there's buyers and casting directors at the awards, and they keep hearing your name on the speakers. And then they go, I remember that name for, why do I remember that name? Who cares? They heard it, and I think there's a big halo effect.
But you know what, too?
Well, we've had casting directors reach out to us and tell us, I was going through the nominee list, and I found these two names and checked them out. What can you tell me about them? We can't tell them anything about them. They just entered. They don't have a relationship with us. But it just shows you that people are out there looking at who are the winners and who are the nominees. And let me just start with that.
And that's an abundance. And this is an abundance. This isn't every blue moon. This is an abundance. As a matter of fact, people have contacted us, producers, and want us to be a casting agency with all the nominees and winners and SOVAS and to refer them to projects.
That's wild. That's wild.
We don't have nine arms. We have 8.
Yeah, we don't do casting. We are not a casting agency for anyone who's thinking of contacting us for that purpose.
But I feel like there's something behind the negativity, and it's kind of like birds of a feather flock together. And it has to do with, first of all, I'm sure these people poo-poo almost everything.
Exactly.
Almost everything that could be of value and good, but it's what you put in it, right? It's what a community says about it that makes it valuable and worthy, right? And I feel like these people are people that have a very curmudgeoned kind of way of thinking. They poo-poo a lot of things unless it has to do with them personally. I also can tell you this. There are many people that I saw on social media that poo-pooed it. Oh, then they got a nomination. Oh, and then they won. And then it's a completely different story.
Yeah, a lot of them have been won over.
Completely different story.
A lot of them have been won over, not by any commentary from us or response to them. They just found their way in. People who I thought, oh my God, this guy was cursing us to the heavens last year, and now he's got 2 nominations. What the hell happened there?
It's a big difference. I'm just curious why we're doing virtual for That's Voiceover this year, and is that something that you plan on doing in the future again?
Well, we may do it in the future again, and we're definitely going to be doing virtual, programs throughout the year. But the real reason that we switched to virtual is that Meta, our good friends over at Meta, and Zuckerberg made a choice that they were no longer going to do anything having to do with diversity and inclusion. He made a big statement about it, and it was in conjunction with his support of Donald Trump. And so at that point, we had a 3-year deal with them. They cut it off at 1.5, which was in the contract. They could do that. We can't sue them. Who can sue Meta? And
they owed us.
All of a sudden, So all of a sudden, we're stuck with, okay, how do we fill a $150,000 gap to keep this show alive? And that was one of the reasons, the primary reason we decided to go virtual. That gave us a way to save dollars and put more focus on the Voice Arts Awards, save the Voice Arts Awards, and just keep rolling. I mean, you're taking punches in this game as a nonprofit.
Oh my God, you guys!
A nonprofit. That's dependent upon, the kindness of strangers, and those strangers include sponsors. And so, yeah, you're always, ducking and bobbing and weaving to make this thing happen every year. And that was one of the blows we had to manage this year.
Okay.
And but in the end, the beautiful thing about it is it turned out there were like a dozen new faces that we could bring into the fold because they could never attend live. I'm talking about speakers, presenters. They couldn't attend live. And
for that voiceover.
So they were waiting on the sides. Audible, for example, said, we've got a lot of people around the country who'd like to get involved, but we can't pay for them to go to California. And so new faces were able to get involved as a result.
And also globally, people were telling us that, they couldn't get visas, for example, so they couldn't come in. So now that's Voiceover is online. Now more people from all over will be able to attend. So there is good news to that. We do plan on doing it live next year. We do plan on that. But so there was
already
many
booked
reasons.
the hotel.
Yeah, there was many reasons why, but mainly Rudy and I had to save our ass. I mean, we are constantly saving our asses, and we're constantly in the red.
Well, Kevin and I are pretty psyched about staying at the Beverly Hills, by the way.
Yeah, at the Beverly Hilton. Yes.
Well, it is incredible.
I can't imagine.
There's so much history there. And as you walk around that space, every little nook and cranny has something that, oh my God. So it's nice to be there.
Hola, this is Jenny Alvarez, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with Kevin and Bobby.
Well, all this fun is coming up in January. Let's talk about the process a little bit in terms of the awards. I don't know who wants to take this. Rudy, if you want to take it, you can defer to Joan if you want. But give us a microcosm of the process, because from the voice actor side, I know I fill out the form, do the submission and all that stuff, and then the chaos on your end starts, I bet.
Yeah, well, the chaos for us starts with affirming jurors.
Explain quickly what the jurors are, Rudy.
So the jurors are the ones who are going to sit back and review your work and score it.
Okay.
And we vet the jurors. So the jurors have an application form to fill out, which includes their resume and their bio and a professional reference that we can contact and get some feedback from them. And not only is it a process to determine who's going to be jurors come in hyped to do the job, and then sometimes they kind of vanish, or they don't complete their assignments. So there's that aspect that you have to include in the process. So we start with maybe 300 jurors, and we end up with 240, 250, and it takes that number because we put 7 jurors on each nomination, so that we get 7 scores for each nomination.
Oh wow!
Somehow we can end up with a tie on occasion, but and you get to
a blue
vote
ribbon round
on a scale of 1 to 10, but in increments of 1 point. So you could do a 5.4 as a score. And so that gives you a lot of flexibility when you don't know which way you want to go on a given entry. So there's a process of finding the jurors, vetting them, and then weeding out those who, for whatever reason, my mom came in, I had vacation time, I forgot about it, I'll double book. Weeding out that process so that you can get everyone scored properly. This year we had to send about 30 out to a blue ribbon panel because we felt they needed more scores before we could legitimately consider them.
And by the way, I do want to add, no one's one score will kind of like make the nomination. It takes all 7 and their scores to add up to create the nomination and the win. Rudy and I do not judge. So I'm just putting that out there. We're not judges, but we do vet the judges. We do that, but we don't want to create a conflict of interest in any way. Also, when people judge, they don't know what they're judging. I mean, they don't know who they're judging. They don't know who's involved. All that is scrapped. All they're listening to is the craft, the production, the performance, or whatever the criteria is for that particular genre. So they don't know who they're listening to. So, I mean, I've seen things too online where, so-and-so was a judge, that's why I didn't get nominated. Not one person's score would make you, who you think is judging your work, was the reason why you didn't get nominated. And by the way, sometimes nominations go like literally, if it had just been, you would have got the nomination. I mean, some things are very, very close, Yeah. And so
like an Olympic heat in the track, and one person wins by a
photo finish.
It's like that.
That does happen. So there's also that process, getting the judges together, and then there's a process of setting up the assignments. We're back in the woods in the nitty gritty here. So all the assignments have to be set up for the judges, and once that process is done, all of that data goes to an accounting firm, and they are able to see who are going to be the nominees. A whole list of nominees, and the winners follow that. After that process is done, they go through the same process and they mark the scores. They send us the nominees so that we can post them to the website. But when the winners are selected, they're there at the show. So the accountants are at the show. They're the ones who have the winners' envelopes in their hands, and they're backstage.
We don't know.
They're backstage handing the winning envelope to the presenter. They hand it to the stage manager, who hands it to the presenter.
Wow.
So it's truly like the Emmys and the Oscars.
Yes, no, it really is. It's like the Oscars and the Emmys. You don't know until you read the envelope.
Yeah.
And we didn't know how this process worked initially. I remember the first stage manager I had, he took me to the side after. He said, "Rudy, I can't have you handing me envelopes because the accountant gave them to me. I gave them to him." And he said, doesn't work that way. I won't do the job with you next year if the accountant's not there.
This stage manager was from the Emmys. Just wanted to say that. That's why he was pulling Rudy aside. He was the Emmys stage manager.
No sweat. I thought I was helping. Get them from him. One less thing for me to do.
It's funny when you have your winners and they walk off with their award and somebody takes away and they're going, no, that's my award. But we know we get them in the end.
Right.
So process. I'm trying to think if there's any other sort of key process. Once folks, there's a whole process in terms of setting up the order of the awards. How will the show flow? And because we have so many categories, 153 this year, because we include multiple languages.
To imagine 153 voice acting categories. Come on.
Wow. So there's a process of separating what's going to actually be on the stage, and what we do in our winner's circle. We put up videos that let folks know who the winners are for everything that's not going to be on stage. Right. So you walk in to the Voice Arts Awards and you can go right into the winner's circle and start looking at the video to see if
you know you're not on stage.
List.
Right. If you know you're not on stage. But everyone still gets attention. They still get interviewed. They still get pictures taken. They still get, videoed. So you still get attention. It's just not on the main stage. But I want to add that Rudy actually created that. And so the Emmys now do it. They took what Rudy did. And now they do it at the Emmys.
There's smart people over there at the Emmys.
Yeah.
Hang around. We'll be back shortly.
Well, hello there. I'm AJ McKay, voice actor, demo producer, and audio engineer. And you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my good friends, love these guys to death, Kevin Kilcarney and Bobby Maswell. What's that? Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Whatever.
As a voice actor, you want to focus on what's important, right? Like pulling off the perfect read. You don't want to stress about tech stuff. That's why Full Compass is in your corner. With 50 years experience in pro audio, Full Compass has everything we voice actors need. Mics, headphones, monitors, mixers, interfaces, DAWs, all the goodies. And their certified product experts help with everything they sell. Plus, you can get free same-day shipping, flexible financing, and a low-price guarantee. See it all at fullcompass.com. Fullcompass.com. They know VO.
Making Waves returns.
Let's talk about how you guys have come from year one of the awards with just certain categories, and now, more than ever, building it up to a worldwide thing. I mean, kudos to you all, but what was your process on that and taking it a step further each year?
It takes every bone. I'll just put that out there.
We knew in the first year that we were going to include Spanish. That was kind of like a no-brainer. And but we said, well, we'll do that in the second year. Let's get this one off our plates first, and then next year we're going to have Spanish. But we were contacted by Fabian Toro, who was this year's Apex Award winner at the Voice Arts Awards, and he said, "Why don't you guys do Spanish?" And we said, "Well, we're on the same wavelength. We're going to have Spanish next year." And he said, "Well, why can't you just add it this year?" And I was at a loss for words. And I said, I guess we could, and so we did. Based on his insistence. And so Spanish was a part of it from the very first year. And he came along and took 2 of those Spanish awards, in fact. and we got to learn what an extraordinary talent he
artist,
was, and a true philosopher of the art of voice acting. Yeah. And from there, we said, well, we got to include other languages. We just can't include Spanish. We got to look at what are the top languages in the world where voice acting is prominent. And that's how we came up with Japanese, Chinese, Arabic, Portuguese, and also English-speaking Africa.
We also have ambassadors for those different cultures, and they help to implement into their, communities, their voice acting communities, the Voice Arts Awards. So that's also huge. Helps get the message out, right? Rudy and I wouldn't know what to do. We wouldn't necessarily know. So when you have ambassadors and they are very prominent in their cultures, they are helping us to implement. This year, we included Chinese last year, but we needed to implement more. And this year we had so many conference calls with an ambassador, and we met other Chinese voice actors who could help us implement it into the community. But it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of grassroots. And that can mean 4:00 in the morning for us, but 1:00 in the afternoon for So the schedule is pretty intense for us, right? The work is, it's the most intense work I've ever done. And I used to think that when I was on scholarship at Alvin Ailey, when I had 5 classes a day, 5 days a week. Ooh. It was no joke. But
we have a lot of meetings at 2 a.m. because that's the only way to get 5 countries on the phone at the same time.
On the phone at the same time.
That is the gritty side, the hard work side. But what about some of the better moments, some of the big moments? Can either of y'all think of a really remarkable moment throughout the award history that was very moving, touching? Anything that stands out, either Joan or Rudy, from the past?
Well, one thing that touches me very deeply is when I might be on the red carpet, and I'm thinking about one in particular that was so extraordinary. And this woman, she was Hispanic. She came up to me. She was speaking half English, half Spanish. She was thanking me for the Voice Arts Awards, but she literally broke down in tears, fell to her knees, crying. Right? Because she felt so acknowledged, and not just her community, and I never forgot that. And I held her down there too, on her knee, I never forgot that. And it's that kind of things that happen on a regular basis that I hold very close and very deep. Also, I'll say that when I was young, when I was in elementary school, my dream was to meet everybody in the world. I don't know why, but that was my dream, right? And I feel like without me realizing it necessarily, that's what's happened in terms of the Voice Arts Awards. It's actually a way for me to meet everybody in a global way that matched my dream as a kid. And that to me is the most profound thing about the Voice Arts Awards.
I have to agree with Joan. Tears of joy. That's that's how I would sum it up. When you see that manifesting, you know that you've touched something special, and you can't help but I backstage crying often, and because of that, it's something that hits you unexpectedly, and. When we had the very first show, I didn't think about that side of it. I didn't have the time to. I was too busy getting it off the ground and getting the lights on and shining on that person. Go. And when I saw that coming back, I realized, we hit a nerve. Powerful. We found it, and it's coming back at us now. Yeah. Also, I want to point to James Earl Jones was the first Icon Award winner.
Nice.
He was there at the very first Voice Arts Awards.
2014.
2014 at the Museum of the Moving Image in Queens, New York. And what he said, because he understood what we were doing, and before he agreed to join us, he had Joan and I meet him at his dressing room at a play he was doing on Broadway, because he wanted to learn more about what we were really after in creating this project. And say, okay, let's go.
Pressure.
Hopefully he says yes. And but it was a very warm conversation. He just wanted to know. He said, if I'm going to step on the stage and receive this honor and say anything about it, I need to know what it is and who you are. And so we shared with him what we were up to, and he got it. And when he was on stage, he said, and he had the whole cast of his play show up because it was on a Monday.
Wow.
And so the theater was dark. And so he invited the entire cast. And what he said, and understanding the beginning of this whole thing, was this is what a commencement is really about. And that really struck me in terms of this is what we're doing. The baby is born, and now it's just nurturing the baby from here.
And that says a lot about him as a person.
I also want to point out one thing, and that is that when you are engaged in conversations like this, James Earl Jones, other celebrities, as well as scale talent from all over the globe, and then you get trolls talking about the awards, and you can tell they don't know what they're talking about. It doesn't compare.
Yeah.
It just doesn't compare. And they don't know what they're talking about. It's just kind of like an opinion that seems like it's popular to pass down, just like the notion of rejection. Like it's always passed down, like, oh, I got rejected, but that's not really what's going on. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's the same thing with people's opinions about the awards. Now, it's one thing if you get it and then you decide not to do it, you're still not going to be someone out there talking about it. You're just not going to do it. There's nothing to talk about. Right. So when you don't know what you're talking about and yet you're spreading this and then people pick it up and then someone else picks it up, that's what I see. But when you're engaged in conversations as deep as this, there's no comparison to what's really going on.
Yeah.
Amen.
The Voice Arts Awards belongs to the people. This is a nonprofit organization, which means we don't own it. We're just stewards. And if we don't do it right, the government says, okay, you can't do this anymore. You got to stop. You got to move on. Or your board says, hey, we can't stick with you. If you're going to carry on this way, we need to let you go and find someone else. But people should understand that this is theirs. This is a gift to them. And we won't be here to run it forever.
Right.
And so for those, and I'm sure there's some people, Joan mentioned trolls again, that, they don't dislike the Voice Arts Awards. They dislike me. They have a thing about, me. When we first started, someone wanted to interview me and they wanted to call the interview, Why Should You Be the One? And wow. I did the interview anyway, but I got that, okay. So there's a concern that someone needs to vet me to start something new.
Yeah.
I said, people start things new, like America. Somebody just said, hey, we're going to call it America and we're going to start doing it. And there it was.
Some people don't get vetted and they get to do what they want and people climb in. But somehow.
Yeah, we have a full unvetted government right now. So
Rudy and I have to be vetted somehow. Like I remember that someone was doing a podcast and people were asking, and this was right after the Voice Arts Awards. Apparently people were asking, why Joan and Rudy, why do they do the Voice Arts Awards? Right.
Wow.
So the person that told me this said, oh, right now they're explaining why you and Rudy are doing why are you guys doing the Voice Arts Awards? Like, I'm wondering if they would talk to anyone else that's doing, anything and ask why they are doing it.
Yeah.
So things like that are things that we're constantly combating too.
Well, we're glad y'all are doing it.
Hey, it's Amanda from Amanda Utter VO, and you're listening to the Making Waves VO podcast with my friends, Kevin and Bobby. Thanks for listening.
Joan Baker, Rudy Gaskins, before we let y'all go, we would love to get a nightmare session story from you, if you don't mind. Joan, would you mind going first? And this could be a recording session, whatever, a session that could have gone much worse.
Nightmare Sessions.
Well, actually, it had to do with, and I know you guys would know who this is, Imus and Imus in the Morning Show.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Yeah. That's a name from back in the day.
Yes. And this is before he was on MSNBC. This was actually where I was doing imitations of Tabitha Soren, who was MTV. She was like
the news person on Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the voices I would do was imitating her. So anyway, the first time I had a session with Imus, oh my God. He has also voice actors that are it's kind of like a voice acting troupe that he works with on a regular basis, or that he worked with on a regular basis. So I didn't even know who he was, you guys. I just was at Macy's. Someone said to me, "Oh, Imus's producer's upstairs." I didn't know who that was. And they said, "You should go up there and meet him." Well, I happened to have my demo because I was jogging and I happened to go into Macy's, and I had my demo in a little fanny pack. So I went upstairs, introduced myself, gave my demo. My demo was something at the time, would not work today. It was like all cartoon voices and then a couple of my regular voices. Well, that worked for them. They called me immediately. I thought Imus was the call letters to the radio station.
IMUS.
Yeah.
Imus Radio.
Exactly. And I thought, and it's in Queens. I'm like, okay, right. Anyway, I go out there for a job, right? I go out there. First, Imus wanted to meet me before the job. So I get out there and the receptionist has me sit down, and I'm telling you, people would walk by and they'd go, "Good luck," or "I hope everything goes well." I'd walk through the halls getting to Imus's room, and people were like, praying, this is people in their offices as I'm walking by. Like, I still had no idea. I knew Imus wasn't radio call station anymore. Anyway, I get into his office. It's pitch black. I see someone combing their hair. Every inch of his office was packed with large pictures of him. And anyway.
Oh, gosh.
He didn't know how to turn on his radio, his stereo. So he had one of the guys do it. Put in my demo. He heard two spots and he went, "That's you?" I said, "Yeah." So he said, "You're hired." And so I think I came back. But when I came back and I did the job, all the voiceover guys were there who were totally brilliant. He said to me, if you fuck up, he said, "I'm not your dad and I'll kick your ass out." I was like,
wow.
And I started laughing because I thought he was joking. He was not joking.
Oh, wow.
But I didn't screw up, but the tension that he created around it made me want to go to the bathroom in my pants. Plus, he kept changing the script, and he'd call his writer, like on the loudspeaker. Bob would come back immediately, and then Bob would leave. Bob would come back. So it was constant chaos. It was just constant chaos and new scripts but everything worked because for whatever reason, I could imitate Tabitha Soren and whatever other spots that I did. But let me tell you something, it was a nightmare. But after some of these sessions were over, the voiceover guys said to me, "I don't know how you handled him, but you really handled him." And I'm thinking I did, because I kept laughing, thinking he was joking. But then the response I would get was like, Jesus, right? When I say a nightmare, nothing has ever come close.
How long did you work?
How long did you work? I worked with him for about a month. And then his producer took me inside and said, "He hates women, right?" So he said, the producer told me, he said, "We love you, but Imus hates women and he's going to want to move on after this session." I said, "Okay."
Well, I'm glad it all worked out ultimately. Rudy, from the producer-director side, do you have a nightmare session you could share with us?
It was a bit of a nightmare, I'd say. So I was working for ABC News at the time, and when writing spots for Barbara Walters, the great Barbara Walters, late great.
Wow.
And she's doing 2020, but she has a special that's coming up, and I've written, and she has recorded the promo. But now we're editing it, and we're editing this promo while she's doing 2020, and she's waiting for it to hit in a commercial break during 2020. So people on the phone with me and pressure me, is it ready? Is it ready? Is it ready? And I'm cutting feverishly to get this promo out the door while I'm seeing her on television because, we have all these monitors everywhere.
Yeah.
And worried that I'm not going to be able to make it in time. And knowing that everybody in the entire department is watching this one thing. Barbara Walters wants to see her spot air at X minutes into the show. The nightmare was just getting there, getting to the finish line. The good news is that I did get to the finish line and she did see her spot. And for her, it was just business as usual.
Right.
She just saw the spot air as it should have, and she moved on. For me, it was...
And Rudy had all this sweat coming down off his head. Right.
And in this process back then, especially, there was a director, the producer, PAs, the engineers, all in the same room. But it's all on you as the director.
Right.
If it doesn't work, it's your fault. No matter who does what, it's on you. So they're all doing their best to make it work, of course, but they also know, good luck, Rudy.
We're all counting on you.
You've had other things like Peter Jennings and his belief in promo.
Other little things along the way. They're par for the course, basically.
I had no idea that you worked for ABC News. That's awesome.
That's how we met.
So we still have time that if anybody wants to do the that's voiceover or get their ticket for the awards, how can they do that? Where do you want to send them?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say go. You want to see the schedule. The schedule is amazing, and we're still adding things. So go to SOVAS.org, and you're going to look for the That's Voiceover tab at the top of the screen, and under there you'll see everything you want to know: the schedule, where to buy tickets. The hotel information. Actually, we're live. We're online this time, but the hotel information is there for the Voice Arts Awards.
Right.
But you'll see the full schedule. There's also something we're doing, which we started last year, and we're doing it again this year, called the Mastery Intensive Series. And here we go to top coaches and casting directors and so on, and we get them to really think hard about a 2-hour session that they can pull off that will really engage people and push them to the next level. And and those are separate from That's Voiceover. You don't have to have a ticket to That's Voiceover to take part in the Mastery Series. You can buy any number of Mastery Series that you want, and you will get videos for those series after the fact. In fact, with the online component of That's Voiceover this year, everything will be available in an archive, so you can come back to every episode or every panel discussion and review it at your leisure after the event.
Has the VO roster audition deadline passed?
No, please, but it will soon.
Okay.
So please go. And it's under the there's a tab that says auditions, and it's to the right of the page, and it's a drop-down menu. Please. And also submit your demo to speed dating with your demo reels. I think we have 42, 43, and there may be more by the time we do it.
That number is relating to the number of producers, casting directors, and talent agents who will be on the other side of that speed dating tape.
And by the way, by the time this comes out, we're also doing a contest that we haven't done it yet, or we haven't put it out yet, but we're going to, and it will be huge. So you definitely want to look out for that.
That's a teaser.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, we will see y'all in January. Rudy Gaskins and Joan Baker from the Society of Voice Arts and Sciences. Thank you so much for being here on the Making Waves Video podcast.
So great to talk to.
Thank you. And we must do this again.
Oh,
we must do this again.
We would love to.
Excellent.
Absolutely.
Thanks for joining us, y'all.
Thanks.
Thank you.
See you in January.
Take care.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
That was so fun. I didn't realize what energy Joan has. I knew she had a lot of energy, but I feel like I could build a cabin right now. I'm so energized.
Build a cabin. She is. I can't wait to see her outfit changes at the event, too.
And I love her Nightmare Session story because Imus, for those that don't know Don Imus, Don Imus is an old radio guy, and he had a syndicated radio show, and he was very, very popular, like a kind of Howard Stern before Howard Stern. Stern almost came around. And word on the street was that, he was not easy to work with. And so I just love hearing that story about an old radio guy. That was cool.
That doesn't like women.
Oh, Bobby, we must do this again in about a week.
Yeah.
The Making Waves VO podcast is presented by Full Compass, fullcompass.com.
We know VO.
See you next time, Bobby.
See you.
The Making Waves VO podcast is produced by K2 Media Productions with hosts Kevin Kilpatrick and Bobby Maxwell. Sound design and editing by Jason Traver. Production assistance by Lacey Deline. Publicity and social media by Shannon Scott and Silas Phillips. Be sure to subscribe to the Making Waves VO podcast on your favorite platform. For all episodes, merchandise, gear, and more, visit makingwavesvo.com. Until next time, I'm AJ McKay. Keep making waves.